Welcome to another reading of Mehera-Meher, and we're starting on the middle of page 537, and reading first is Mikal from Israel.
Okay, I would just like to know what year we are in. You have any?
Um, I don't know if it says.
Okay.
It'll say in a little while, probably. Yeah.
Okay. So, over the town, Baba and Baba. After contacting the poor in Bengal, Nepal, and Hyderabad on 25th November, Baba arrived in Bombay, where he stayed for 12 days. Kitty, Rano, Khorshid, and Sunamasi were at Meherji's, where Baba rested at night, and Katie was at Nariman's, where Baba took a break during the days. Still, Baba did not allow any of these old life disciples to see him, so he's in the new life, making their situation even more difficult. Their beloved was so close, yet they could not have even one glimpse. When Baba had to walk through Meherji's apartment to get to his room at the top, Meherji warned the women, Baba is coming, go away. They were supposed to go to their rooms, shut the door, and stay there until Baba had left the house. Although Khorshid had the duty of making Baba's bed each day, tidying his room, and washing his clothes, she never saw him. But Baba had not forgotten his disciples. At the 16th October meeting, some had informed him of the financial difficulties in their families. So on 26th November, so that is 1950, I think. So on 26th November, Baba had his brother Bayram, as well as three others, summoned to Nariman's apartment. There, Baba explained that he wished to extend the same service to them that he had given to other poor families throughout India. The stunned and embarrassed disciples had tears in their eyes as Baba washed and placed his head on their feet and gave each Rs 1,000. Meanwhile, in the Korean War, to keep the Chinese out of the war, General MacArthur proposed a show of force. The main body of MacArthur's troops began pressing northward on 24th November. But 2 days later, the Chinese struck with 300,000 men, engulfing MacArthur's isolated companies. General Omer Bradley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, telephoned the White House. The Chinese have come in with both feet. Coincidentally, this was the same day that Baba gave love gifts to four of his own disciples and placed his head on their feet. Baba and the companions returned to Mahabaleshwar on 6 December, where he described his long journey to Mera and the other women. He also informed them of his plans to go into seclusion for 100 days, and Padri was called and told to construct a small hut for this purpose. In Mahabaleshwar, Mera's birthday was celebrated on Christmas that year, and the Pune Bhajan group was invited to perform. The women listened to the songs from another room hidden by a curtain. Kitty and Ranu were called again for this occasion, and Ranu remembered, whenever we went to Baba, we didn't talk about what we were doing in Bombay unless Baba asked. We never told the other women. We only said we had jobs teaching. That's all. They told us about their trip and what they had been doing. Baba didn't want any of the old life coming in. Baba left for Hyderabad on 15 January 1951. So it's 51. No, so it's 51. Before it was 50, and now it's 51. His trip had a dual purpose. He was in search of Mas, a new location for his companions. Mahabaleshwar would be inconvenient during the monsoons. It rains incessantly and the roads are often untravelable. Baba was in an extraordinarily good mood in Hyderabad, a total of 38 masks, were contacted in just a few days, and Adi reported, since the beginning of New Life, Baba never appeared as happy and light-hearted as during this trip. It was truly the most happy time during the New Life because Baba's mass contacts were so greatly satisfying. Meanwhile, in Bombay, Khorshid felt compelled to write to Baba of their troubles, even though Baba did not wish to receive communications from old life disciples. On 26 January, Mani sent this reply to Khorshid and Sunamasi. I think we have to read the side note. After several Mirabai bhajans, taking into account that it was Mehra's birthday, the women requested a song about Radha. None of the Pune bhajan group knew any, but Ramachandra Gaikwad of the Hyderabad sang one. So we can go back to what Mani wrote. Baba was very surprised to receive a letter from you, but he had the contents read out to him and wants me to reply to you as follows. Baba knows everything that you have written to him. He understands your feelings and knows of your love and the suffering of separation. According to the New Life oath that Baba has taken, he cannot and does not see or keep with him any of his old life women disciples and devotees. As you know, he has seen no one, not even Gulmai. At the moment, there are only a few of the Mandali, now called servants, staying with him, and perhaps he may send some more of them away from him. You must not think that Baba does not love you. He loves you, and that is why, when he comes to Bombay, he sends you his clothes to be washed and ironed. When you kissed Baba's hand in Meherabad, Baba had said that he would sometimes call Ranu, Kitty, and Naja for reasons of work. It is purely for reasons of work that Baba calls them, and you must believe him, for in his new life, Baba does not lie. Baba underwent many hardships during his recent mass and poor tours of Assam, and now, after his trip to Bombay and Baroda, he will stay in seclusion here for 100 days. He has many worries of his own, and you must help him by remembering everything you promised when you kissed his hand. When Baba comes to Bombay in June, he intends once to see you and Masi only. Do not write again. Baba sends his love to you both. Masi is her mother. After returning to Mahabaleshwar briefly, Baba was in Bombay on 30th January when he stayed at Nariman's apartment, but he also visited Meherji's. Khorshid desperately wanted to see him, and one day when Baba was with Meherji, she happened to be standing outside the door and heard Meherji tell Baba about the circus that was in town. Sensing her presence, Baba suddenly said to Meherji, "See if anyone is standing outside the door." But by that time, Khorshid had made herself scarce, and Meherji reported that no one was there. Baba decided to go to the circus, and despite his orders, Khorshid followed his car along Marine Drive. But when she got to the circus, she realized that she had no money. Meherji gave them money only for things that were truly needed, and naturally she had not asked. She had to turn back without even glimpsing Baba. Baba returned to Mahabaleshwar on 5th February. Baba's proposed trip to the West in 1950 had already been postponed, and now the telegram was received from Elizabeth about additional difficulties with Baba's trip to America this year. Baba had the following reply sent. Baba's plans are changed. Instead of leaving India for the West in July 1951, he will leave February 1952. Do not worry and rest assured that Baba wants to come and to stay for 1 year. So thank you. Can someone take over, please?
Ralph, Are you reading today? How about you, Eva?
Sure, sure. Where do I start?
Uh, before beginning his
Okay,
seclusion.
okay.
Thank you guys. That was wonderful.
Thanks, Mikal. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all. Bye.
Before beginning his seclusion in the hut that Padre had constructed, Baba commented, "This seclusion, which is connected with my new life oath and the desired final result, will be unique. It will be a partial seclusion, and unlike the old life seclusions, I will not confine myself to a small room for an entire day." He added, "I will either emerge victorious in attaining new life living or die in the attempt." Guru Prasad Palace, Pune, 1959 to 1961. Guru Prasad. On 13 February 1951 at 7:30 p.m., Mayor Baba entered his seclusion hut at Florence Hall, Mahabaleshwar, which had been enclosed by screens of bamboo matting for privacy. Previously, Baba had indicated that the first 40 days of the seclusion would be the hardest. During this time, he fasted, sometimes on water only, and worked with Ali Shah for half an hour daily from 15 February to 5 March. The most serious phase was 1 to 5 March, when Baba worked in absolute darkness for the first few hours. Then, in the bright glare of a Petromax lantern. As Baba indicated, it was a partial seclusion, and in the afternoons, he visited the women. From 13 to 24 March, he ate only once a day and worked for a full hour at night, half in total darkness and half in bright light. On 24 March, Baba issued a statement in which he said that, "Without the help of God, I could not have gone through this ordeal successfully." Baba had prayed that his body would be sound and healthy during the seclusion, but he had hemorrhoids in a fissure, which became painfully inflamed. He was also passing blood in his stools. Different treatments were tried, but the size of the piles swelled, and he was in horrible pain for many days. Toward the end of March, Baba expressed his wish for a change. He decided to continue his seclusion by sitting at certain spots in and around Pune. He was driven there on 27 March. Baba rode in the front seat with Goher and Erich, the driver, and Mehera, Mani, and Meru sat in the back. When they first arrived, they visited Ganeshkind Gardens briefly before going on to see 2 bungalows, which had been rented for their stay. The first of these was in a secluded location on the Mahabaleshwar Road outside Pune, with a picturesque view of a hillock in the distance. The old-style British bungalow was set, was set far back from the main road, with no other houses nearby. There was a large, beautiful garden in front. Baba got out of the car and gave the women a tour of the grand, rambling house, which had 4 spacious bedrooms, a wide porch, and a kitchen. The living room had no furniture, but the dining room had a table, a few chairs, and a sideboard. Wooden screens divided the 2 rooms. The bedrooms also had no furniture, but there was a huge pile of mattresses in one room. It seemed like an ideal place. Baba too liked the interior of the house, but after looking through it, he stood outside on the veranda and took a few sniffs of the air. Something was wrong. "What's that smell?" he asked. A leather tannery was nearby in Wanori, and though they could not see it, they could certainly smell it. When the strong odor did not go away after a few minutes, Baba told the women not to unpack too much. He was going to Gaimai's Bindra house to pick up the lunch, and he indicated he would try to arrange another bungalow. It was now 10 or 11 o'clock, Mehera remembered, and they were not certain that another place would be available. We waited and walked around, dividing up the rooms, choosing the bedroom with an attached bath for Baba. Mehera unpacked a few things from a small satchel she carried of items Baba might need: his soap, a face towel, his plate, and so on. Mani had lain down to rest on one of the mattresses, and Mehera went to see what Meheru and Goher were doing. They were in the room with a huge pile of mattresses. Having picked what looked like the best one for Baba, they were struggling to free it from the others piled on top. Mehera called Mani, and the 4 women managed to pull it out. At last, they heard Baba's car arrive with lunch. They ate a memorable meal of dansak and kachumber salad in the dining room. And then Baba asked, "Have you unpacked yet?" "No, Baba, not yet." "Don't unpack. I have some good news. Wait and see what a nice house we found." After lunch, they repacked whatever they had unpacked. They were happy to get away from this house because the smell, according to Mehera, was so awful that I don't know how we could have lived there. They got into the car with Baba seated in the front again, and he repeated, "We found a very good house." First, however, they stopped at the second rented bungalow, Baruch's bungalow, a small cottage on Winauri Road near the Turf Club, and got down to see it. It was filled with antiques, and when Baba asked whether they liked it, Mehera replied, "Baba, who's going to keep all this clean? It's too fancy." It was overflowing with the personal items of the owner, Meheru clarified, and we didn't think we would feel at home in it. They sat in the car, and Mehera recalled, "We drove through town, down Main Street, MG Road. The first time we had driven with Baba through the camp cantonment area of Pune over the bridge, past the council hall. At last we came towards Bund Gardens with its huge bungalows of wealthy people. It was a nice road with a bridle path. We said, 'My, we are coming towards a very posh locality. The house must be nice.' How nice, we did not know. Then our car turned in at an entrance with huge iron gates, all painted silver, and everything looking fine. The car drove past a spacious garden, though there were not many flowers. The broad driveway was bordered by alternating neem and gulmohar trees. We couldn't believe our eyes. We're going to stay here? A lawn? A big bungalow? Beautifully big Italian statues in the garden, a fountain. Our car turned into an enormous, beautifully maintained portico with flower pots and arches. The broad marble steps were lined with palms. Baba got down and said, "Go inside quickly, get unpacked and settled." Of course, as usual, Baba was very busy going back and forth. "I've sent for tea," he said. "You'll have tea and then you'll feel nice and fresh." The glass doors of the central hall and dining room were especially lovely, decorated with designs of birds bathing in a fountain, and the letters GP etched on the glass. Each window had embossed glass panes of flowers, vases, flying birds, exquisitely done. The flooring was also pure marble. A lovely drawing room contained many sofas, carpets, a chandelier, and a glass partition with a peacock etched on it. Behind the partition was the dining room. You could see the garden from the dining room. Oh, you could see the garden from the dining table. The bathrooms were done in white marble tiles with bathtubs. The spout on the tub was a silver calf's head with the water coming from the mouth. We couldn't believe we were going to stay here. Baba must have been feeling so happy to give us this nice surprise, as we never thought we were going to such a palatial bungalow. But again, I wondered how we were going to clean it. We didn't have any servants with us. The owner's servants were there, so they did not have to worry. "Come and see the bedrooms," Baba said. He told us to choose one for him and one for ourselves. And he went to talk with the Mandali. The Mandali were to occupy the guest house, which had an upstairs and a downstairs. They had followed us in another car. The name of the bungalow was Guru Prasad. It was owned by the Maharani of Baroda. We loved it. It had high ceilings and was cool inside. We chose Baba's room in front. It was small, facing the garden and the front gate, perfect for Baba. The room had a separate entrance, so it would be convenient for the night watchman too. Mani and I shared the last bedroom. A larger one in the middle was for Goher and Meru. We chose a bed for Baba, one we were sure did not have bed bugs, and Goher instructed the servants to move it into the room we had chosen for him. We put a small table next to the bed and arranged things. After some time, Baba called Goher and sent a kettle of tea inside for the women. They cleaned Baba's room and unpacked his things, his glass, soap, towel, and so on. Baba's bed was made with fresh sheets and a mosquito net put up. Everything was spick and span, and we girls were feeling happy with ourselves. Baba came to his room and said it was nice. He liked it. As Mehera related, Guru Prasad at 24 Boone Garden Road belonged to the Dowager Maharani Shanta Devi of Baroda. She had purchased it in 1950 from another Rani, but the Rani of Baroda had never used it. Later, when the Maharani came to Baba, she would gift Guru Prasad to him for his use, but at this time, she had not yet met him. So, new reader, please.
Alf, your turn.
I have to take this phone call. Forgive me. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. Deb.
Yes, thank you. It's really exciting to hear about I had forgotten that part. Seeing Guru Prasad for the first time, very exciting. Mani recalled that as a child of 6, she had once passed Guru Prasad when it was being built, and she and a friend had snuck inside to look around. They had not stayed long. Thinking that someone might see them, they had scampered out. Little did Mani realize that she would one day be staying in this palace, looking out at people trying to look in. Guru Prasad would be an important resident in Meher Baba's later work, and he and the women would stay there many times. But on this first visit in 1951, they stayed for only 11 days, while Baba continued his seclusion work. On 30 March, Baba sat in 5 different locations around Pune. On 1 April, for the 6th place of seclusion, he was driven to Baba House, his family home, without seeing Bairam, Perrin, or their children. Here he sat in his old room that had had the stone floor, where he had knocked his forehead while trying to find some relief after being unveiled by Babajan. Baba also contacted a few musts in Pune. While he was away every morning, he told us we could go for walks, Mehera related, as we had no cooking to do. Our food came from Bindra House. The first 2 or 3 days, Baba took us to Bund Gardens, which is near Guru Prasad, to show us where we could walk. It was deserted in the mornings. Baba walked down the steps on the parapet. It was mostly dry in the summertime, himself holding his own umbrella. We walked and walked across the river where it was dry to the other side. Baba pointed out Deccan College. "This is where I went to college," he said. "I used to cycle here every day." We didn't go inside. We turned around and went home across the river. 3 times we took the same route during our morning outings, in the same direction but not as far. Then Baba told us that every morning the 4 of us must go for walks together without him. We went for long walks in the Kuragayan Park area, but never beyond Council Hall. We all got ready in sturdy shoes and wore nice hats. I wore a green felt hat that Narina had given me, and sometimes a cream-colored one of Nani's. The others wore solar topis. People looked at us questioningly. Only later did we come to know that Hindus resented this Western dress. This was soon after independence, during the Khadi homespun movement, and people looked down on you for wearing Western clothes. Mehera took the other women to visit her childhood home on Tadiwala Road one day, but she was disappointed to see that most of the tall, shady trees had been cut down. The place looked so different that she almost did not recognize it. In her childhood, the area had resembled a thick forest and was cool and shady. Now everything looked so barren. What a shame, huh?
Really sad. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was probably really sad for the animals, the birds and things.
Yeah. Mhm.
But she showed the other women where her mother had sat by the river to pray and narrated how their pet cocker spaniel would sit by Dalatmai's side, waiting patiently for her to throw a stick. Dalatmai was too busy praying from the Zen Avesta. But when Mehera and Franny got home from school, they went to the river through the fields and threw a stick in the water for the dog. In the evening, they lay in the long grass and watched the men punting on skiffs down the river. The river bank, too, had changed. Now the area was under cultivation with fields of vegetables growing. We were tempted to pick a few fresh vegetables, Mehera said, but we didn't. They went to see the toddy plantation too, but not one tree was still standing. Formerly, people went there on weekends, rented boats, and relaxed. The nearby field that had once belonged to Mehera's aunt was also destroyed. Tired, the women walked back to Gurbasad, but that day Baba had not yet returned. When he did, they had lunch, and Mehera described their walk to him. On another day, Baba took the women with him when he drove outside of Pune to contact a must. The women did not see the must, however, as Baba contacted him alone. On 5 April, Baba also took the women to Audi Senior's car to his seventh and final seclusion spot, the tomb of the perfect master. Oh my goodness. Anybody got any ideas how to pronounce this name?
Probably Dayaneshwar.
Dayaneshwar at Alandi on Pune's outskirts. Adi, Baba, and Gohir were seated in the front, Mehera, Mani, and Meru in the back. Baba characterized Dayaneshwar to them as a brave and beautiful soul. Born in the 13th century, Dayaneshwar was the youngest Sadguru ever to have lived. He was only 9 years old when he became perfect. Considered the supreme interpreter of the Gita, Dayaneshwar was in the state of divine inspiration and illumination, rewrote the entire Gita with a lucid interpretation into the vernacular Marathi, which until that time was read only in Sanskrit. That's like in medieval times, the Bible was not allowed to be in your mother tongue. It had to be in Latin only. Near the age of 17, he had his disciples to bury him alive at Alandi. At Alandi, a small Hindu community, Baba and the women went inside the tomb, a simple monument, where they noticed some Brahmins praying. Holding Mehera's hand, Baba walked around the tomb, and the others followed. They bowed to Dayaneshwar's samadhi, but did not place their heads on it. They joined their hands, and Baba had some dakshina, donation, given to the keeper. Baba sat in seclusion for a few minutes before they returned to Guru Prasad. On 7 April, Baba and the group drove back to Mahabaleshwar, where Baba again went into seclusion in the grass hut for 1 more month. Would Ralph like to read now?
He's busy feeding, but he might pause.
One
To
more
read.
month. I don't see it. One more month.
Mhm.
At Alandi, is that where we are? Oh, okay. On April 7th, Bob and the group drove back to Mahabaleshwar, where Baba again went into seclusion in the grass hut for 1 more month. On the way to Mahabaleshwar, they stopped to pick up a packed lunch at Bindra House, where Baba met the entire Jesawala family. Papa Jesawala had seen Baba at the Mahabaleshwar meeting the year before, and Marwan, who had assisted in finding Guru Prasad, had been permitted to visit Baba there. But for Gaimai and her daughter Manu, who had believed that they would never see Baba again, this was the first encounter since the start of the new life. They were overjoyed to be enfolded in the beloved's arms once again. Arrangements were made for the companions to move to Hyderabad. But before that, on 5th of May, Baba drove to Meherabad with the women, where they stayed at Ashiana for 4 days. Previously, Baba had told Khorshid and Tsunamasi by letter that he would see them in June, but now he called them a month early. It was the first time they had seen him since the new life began a year and a half ago. Baba agreed to let them move out of Mayor G and Homai's apartment and live independently. Kitty and Rano, who did not see Baba, stayed at Mayor G's for the time being. But when the group returned to Mahabaleshwar on 9th of May, Kitty and Rano followed in a separate car. Baba asked them, "Are you so engrossed in your work in Bombay that you want to continue at the school? Because I am going to Hyderabad now, and you can come with me, but you'll have to get a job in Hyderabad." Baba jumped at the chance. No, both, excuse me, both, that's Kitty and Rano, both jumped at the chance. Baba had them, told them that they too did not have to stay at Mayor G and Homai's apartment any longer. So they rented rooms at the school, and because their principal had been so kind to them, they stayed for 2 months more until she could find replacements. Baba, the principal was a lady then. Baba gave us a date to be in Hyderabad by then, Rano explained. Naja usually oversaw the cooking, but while Kitty and Rano were in Mahabaleshwar, Naja was sent to Pune and later Bombay. It was decided that until Naja returned, the cooking would be done on a rotating basis. For 3 days, Kitty would cook. For 3 days, Mani. And for 1 day, Meru. Mani and Meru each prepared food for both meals, lunch and dinner, in the morning. When Kitty was cooking, she wanted to prepare something fresh for Baba's evening meal. So she returned to the kitchen at 4 every afternoon. Somehow, every time she was washing her hands, she noticed a snake in the crevice of a stone wall outside their house. Although Kitty had an aversion to snakes, she knew she should try to kill it. By the time she went to get the snake killing stick kept by the veranda door, the snake disappeared into the wall. It happened so many times that it became something of a joke. Kitty did not display her fear of snakes much, but the others knew she was afraid of them, and Mehera and Mani decided to play a trick on Kitty. Mani fashioned a snake out of chapati dough, and then, to make it even more realistic, she colored it with a bit of new turmeric dust, and charcoal. But before doing so, the quote snake had to dry properly. Monty placed it on their veranda, just outside the railing, which faced the sun. Kitty hardly ever came on their veranda, so there was little likelihood she would see it there. That afternoon, however, when Goher was returning from the Mondelez after accompanying Baba there, she saw the snake. Quote, snake. Quickly grabbing a stick, she started beating it. Mara and Monty flew out of their room, shouting, "No, Goher, stop!" And there was laughter over it. Monty mixed more dough and made another snake. When this one was dry and colored, all admired it. It looked exactly like a real snake. We all waited for the day when Kitty, excuse us, when Kitty, we all looked for the day, admired it, real snake. We all waited for the day when Kitty was doing the cooking again. Mayru related. We told Baba about it also. No one wanted to miss the show. When Kitty was in the kitchen, Monty placed the fake snake on the ground near the wall. We all went upstairs up to the veranda that encircled Baba's room, which overlooked the back lane. We waited and waited for Kitty to see the snake, but that day she must have been so involved with what she was cooking that she wasn't looking out the window. To draw her attention, Mara broke some dry twigs from the overhanging tree and threw them on the tin roof below. Still no movement from Kitty. When Mara did it once more and still nothing happened, I picked up a large branch and threw it down. It landed with a crash. I guess that's Mara quote. I picked up, when Mara did it once more and still nothing happened, I picked up a large branch and threw it down. It landed with a crash. Kitty looked out the window and saw the snake. She rushed out the door, took the stick, and started whacking it. For once, the snake was there. As she was hitting it, we all burst into laughter. This is most extraordinary, Kitty exclaimed. I hit it once and it flew into 1,000 pieces. A bit annoyed, she asked Monty, why did you pull my leg? But the incident helped Kitty conquer her fear of snakes, Mayru stated. Later, when Kitty was living at the Mayor's Center in Myrtle Beach, where there were far more snakes to deal with than in India, where we were staying, somehow that action of goading her to kill the snake made her realize that when the time came, she was able to do it fearlessly. It helped her a lot. I suppose in that way, Baba took the fear away, Kitty herself said, because I've never been afraid of snakes since then. Jayba. So anyone, there's one last paragraph. Baba concluded his seclusion in Mahabaleshwar by going to Pune in Adi Sr.'s car on 22nd May, where he contacted 7 months and sought their blessing. The next day was the final day of the 100-day seclusion, and Baba stated, this seclusion is completed to my satisfaction by God's grace. Before they left Mahabaleshwar, Begum, their pony, was given away to someone there who hired out horses and promised to take good care of Begum. On the 25th of May, Baba and the 5 women left for Hyderabad in Mayurji's car, driven by Adi Sr. They picked up a packed lunch at Bindra House in Pune, where Baba met the Jeswalas. They drove on and had to have lunch under a shady tree outside a duck bungalow, which was locked. Further along, they spent the night at a duck bungalow in Timburni. After halting another night at Naldurg, they continued their road trip to Hyderabad. Nalburg, Jaybob.
Pretty colors.
Yeah. There's passport. 1950.
M.J. Irani. What's the J stand for?
Jehangir, I think.
Jahangir. Her dad's name.
Not sure.
Are you done, Ralph, or can you read some more?
I'm about cooked.
Okay, your
I
goose
need
is
some more
cooked.
pancakes. And then I'll read again.
Okay.
Jake,
Chapter 106, Hyderabad Movies. After halting for 2 nights on the way, Meher Baba and the women arrived in Hyderabad on 27 May 1951 and occupied a leased bungalow in the Jubilee Hills area. The sidebar says Baba and the women had resided in the same locality of Hyderabad 6 years earlier in 1945. The men companions had preceded them by train and stayed separately nearby. Pendu began preparations for a men's meeting in June by renting the former palace of a Muslim prince, also in Jubilee Hills. Because of partition, thousands of Muslims had fled to Pakistan, abandoning the small Muslim enclave in Hyderabad. Consequently, a number of bungalows in the area were empty. The Kohinoor bungalow, where Baba and the women stayed for 6 months, belonged to a wealthy Muslim. It was large and well furnished, indirect, soft electric lights mounted around the interior walls illuminated every room. A charming drawing room contained sofas covered in a light turquoise fabric in which golden roses were woven. In the evenings, Baba and the women sat there and listened to radio serials such as Dan Dare and Superman. 15-minute episodes of The Adventures of Dan Dare, Pilot of the Future, sponsored by Horlicks, were broadcast nightly by Radio Luxembourg and concerned the space exploits of the eponymous dapper British spaceman. Superman episodes, half hour, thrice weekly, began with the now familiar, "Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman, faster than an airplane, stronger than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound, champion of the weak and the oppressed, tireless fighter for truth and justice." Outdoors, a sprawling lawn surrounded the house, graced by a fish pond and almond trees at each of the 4 corners. Everything was perfect, except that it was the height of summer and so hot that they could hardly sleep at night. Nevertheless, Baba remarked that he liked Hyderabad because it had so many musts. Quote, "It is a very great place, both spiritually and materially. Its spiritual importance stems from ages past." Baba was gone much of the time, contacting musts there and in Secunderabad. He took the women with him once on 8 June when he contacted 4 musts during a drive in the Balapur locality. For the first time in 2 years, Baba began attending to correspondence also, At the end of June, he held a series of meetings at which time he announced the, quote, God-determined step, end quote, and began the mononage, annihilation of the mind, phase of the new life. For the meetings, those new life companions not already in Hyderabad and the old life disciples were to stay for 3 days. For the week prior to their arrival, Baba indicated he would be concerned with making adjustments and arrangements with a few close old life disciples, Adi Sr., Ramju, and Ghani. Baba told them, I am feeling very ill. The piles trouble is still there, more or less. I feel a continuous gnawing pain near my diaphragm. I cannot sleep well. I do not possess the least appetite to eat anything. The adjustments and arrangements Baba mentioned concerned traces of interference from the old life, which he wished to eradicate. These were burdens from old life disciples who had associated themselves with Baba through the mutual bond of love, and for whom Baba felt that he had not done enough. One of the adjustments he made was to allow those of the old life who had been forbidden to go to the movies to see 3 films a month from July onwards. He also took the women to the movies, which was why, despite the stifling heat in Hyderabad, Mehera said, we had a very good stay. Since there were not many Baba lovers there, Baba was free to go to the pictures. They went to the Tivoli and Dreamland theaters, among others, and saw Father of the Bride with Spencer Tracy and Elizabeth Taylor, All About Eve, which they saw twice, with Betty Davis and Ann Baxter, King Solomon's Mines with Stuart Granger and Deborah Carr, Harvey, starring James Stewart, and Dickens's A Tale of Two Cities. They also saw The White Tower, an allegorical romance set in Switzerland, in which mountaineering is symbolical of the conflict between dictatorship and democracy, or the mind and the heart. Although they loved the spectacular scenery and the challenge of conquering the sheer rocky ascent of the mountain, after a while, Mehera found it monotonous. Meherji's car remained in Hyderabad for Baba's use. Since Mehera adored horses, several times Baba took them to the races also. We parked the car by the track, she recalled, and watched the race from there. I loved to watch the horses racing. We packed up something to eat in case Baba was hungry, potato chips and bottles of lemonade. Another day, while out in the car with Baba, we drove past a polo ground when a match was on. We drove past slowly. We were sitting in the car and it was far away, so I couldn't see properly. We didn't get down. That year, Baba instructed not only the women and companions with him, but also his lovers all over the world to observe silence for 24 hours from 6 a.m. on 10 July. Kitty and Rano arrived in Hyderabad at the end of July and began staying with the group. Through Nargis Dadachanji, a man in the Nizam's cabinet was approached about arranging jobs for the two Western women at a local school. The man promised to see what he could do, Rano recalled. When we arrived in Hyderabad, days went by and the man never showed up. One day he arrived and apologized, saying he couldn't get us jobs, but he wished to have Meher Baba's darshan. I went and asked, as Baba wasn't in seclusion at the time. Baba came out, smiled, and saw him, and that was the last we heard about a job. Baba had wanted to contact this man through this means. Once, on an outing with Baba, Kitty was standing by the hood of the car, drinking soda. She swallowed wrongly and began coughing and sputtering. It was so amusing that Mare and the others in the car started laughing. Kitty was always saying or doing something funny, usually unintentionally. At the school, Rano said, students would come up to me and say, "Do you know what Miss Davy did today?" and relate something funny. But Kitty was also quite generous, sometimes too generous. For example, Rano had a subscription to Time magazine and once offered to let Kitty read it, and the Current Life magazine first. Kitty, however, was the sort of person who would offer them to someone else even before she or Rano had read them. "Look, Kitty," Rano admonished her, "I gave them to you first, not to be given to someone else." The same thing happened when Kitty was around Baba. Baba once told Kitty to sit next to him. She thought someone else who had never had the opportunity to sit near him should get the same benefit. And she pushed the person next to Baba. Baba scolded her. "I said for you to sit next to me, not someone else." Besides Baba, two of the women also suffered from physical ailments in Hyderabad. Mani and Meru were both hospitalized. Mani had a hysterectomy, and Meru had her appendix removed. Goher stayed with them in the hospital, but Mani's condition became serious, and Baba often had Rano telephone the hospital to inquire about her. Rano also took over Meru's duties, preparing breakfast for all and washing Baba's clothes. Naja did the cooking as usual, now assisted by Kitty. And Mera, of course, continued doing Baba's personal work. Adi Sr., being Meru's uncle and the legal guardian of herself, her brothers, and sister, was naturally concerned about her. In a letter on 20 August to Adi, Erich wrote, "Baba directs me to inform you that Meru and Mani were successfully operated upon, and they are now feeling better. Baba wants you to know that Meru was operated for her appendix. Baba wants you not to worry for her. She feels well now. Mani's operation was performed by a female surgeon named Dr. Naidu. Afterwards, when Baba sent the surgeon a gift anonymously through Nilu, Dr. Naidu bantered, You naughty boy. Why did you buy this? Nilu tended to take things literally. Am I really so bad? He asked Mani after he told her what the surgeon had said. No, no, Mani explained. She was just joking. Nilu was worried. Are you sure? It's a term of endearment, Mani assured him. Like when you call someone old girl, meaning she is your friend. Besides his piles trouble, Baba went to the dentist in Hyderabad to have the last of his 2 teeth pulled. Observing silence, Baba's mouth was shut all the time, Mehera noted sorrowfully. When oxygen doesn't go inside, the teeth and nerves deteriorate. The teeth and gums need fresh air to remain healthy. I'd better read this sidebar before it goes away. Nilu, being a physician, was consulted occasionally about Mani and Meru's treatment. By this time, Mani, in addition to Goher, was permitted to speak to the Mandali about Baba's work. Mehera and Meru, however, never did. Baba sneezed and coughed and gargled like any ordinary human being. But because he did not open his mouth to talk, this lack of oxygen contributed to the deterioration of his teeth. One by one, over the years, Baba's teeth had come out. In Hyderabad, Baba had the last 2 teeth pulled. He went to a European dentist with Mandali one day. I saw him leave. When he returned, he called me and gave me one of the 2 teeth that had been pulled. He told me to keep it. It is the only one of his I have. The dentist, who also treated the Nizam, made Baba a set of dentures that he was supposed to wear while eating. Baba did not like them. He preferred instead simply to eat soft foods, such as rice and dal. Since Baba had said that he would be going to the West, Mehera wanted him to wear the dentures there, as she felt he looked better in them. Baba agreed, but never ate with them. He looked nice with them in, Mehera observed. Baba mostly always wore the lower gums in Myrtle Beach, but the top one he almost never wore, and he didn't like to. We asked him to wear it. I guess the top plate is like across the whole top of your mouth and not comfy. Mehera's request, however, had a terrible unforeseen consequence, and later she would deeply regret suggesting it. Because Baba was wearing the bottom denture when the Prague automobile accident happened, it hurt his tongue and the roof of his mouth. After the trip to the West, Baba didn't use either the top or lower ones. All these years to eat without teeth, Mehera reflected sadly. Baba had to go through all such difficult kinds of suffering because he was the avatar. And we'll stop here in the middle of page 552.